transition that has taken place over the summer. There has been some misconception about some of the language. In the board minutes of February 28th, there was a presentation by the former CEO of Rainbow, Mr. Tom Ayers, and there were three things that were suggested. One was to consolidate middle school and high school runs to save $64,000. The elimination of the swim bus for savings of $12,000, and the elimination of the lake bus, which was a savings of another $2,000. All of those items have been implemented, and the budget in the transportation area is in good shape in those particular ways. So the comments that I had made under the VAT notes in the first paragraph of my transportation executive summary should be discounted as to there being any issues with budgetary issues in the transportation area. We are in much better shape than I had earlier anticipated.
Thank you. Because I was like, not happy. Yeah.
I am very sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
That is much better and much more positive news than I had originally thought we were going to have.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
About the $64,000. I remember us talking at budget about getting rid of the swim bus possibly, and possibly getting rid of the after-school bus, but at no time did we ever decide, yes, we were going to combine the small children with the older children, because that's something that we really would have to delve into and get parent involvement to decide. We couldn't just decide that on our own. So
that has not happened.
Okay,
and
I just want to make sure that nobody thinks that we did that because we did not.
What that was the reduction of 12 buses to 10 buses.
Right.
Yes.
And we're going to be addressing, there has been an additional request for a swim bus. We have run into some issues that one of our board members had indicated regarding bus monitors and the overcrowding of one of our buses, well, three of our buses actually, at Riverview. And one of the ways that we might be able to eliminate all the problems at Riverview would be by adding an additional bus route that I had requested at an earlier time, and the transportation company had responded to. I have a little bit more information as far as costs. Rainbow is also interested in pursuing a rate increase, and that's the last item that I have on here. Backing up to the swim bus request, that particular item would be an additional $5,000 that we do not have budgeted. The addition of bus monitors for those three runs at Riverview would cost us up to $150 a day, and if they were put on the bus run starting tomorrow, that would be a cost of a little under $21,000. If we were to go to an additional bus route, that would be $26,000, but it would eliminate the problems with overcrowding, discipline issues, and it would also give, we would not need to have bus monitors. So we have several questions that we want that are in front of the board tonight, and to that end.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Adding a bus, how does that solve behavioral problems? Because now they're split on two buses and just looking at two buses.
What's happening is we have overcrowding situations, and the overcrowding situations have led to discipline issues. If we reduce the number of students on a bus, we've got two buses with over 50, well, one with 54 and one with nearly 53. And then we have another bus that's also very crowded. The capacity of these buses is really, we get to that level where they're way overcrowded. And the kids get back there and they cluster and bad things happen. But
what are the issues that are happening on the bus? Because the board does not know what the issues that are.
Okay, we've got overcrowding. We've had a couple of incidents where the kids they're horsing around on the bus, and there has been one injury that I'm aware of. It's a very minor injury. But there have been a number of write-ups, and I don't have a count of the number of write-ups that have taken place this year.
She can address some of the busing
Yes,
issues.
she could.
I can address that. If I can just, before you do, are there seatbelts on the buses?
Yes, sir.
To 2 children to a seat?
Some of our buses are actually 3 to a seat.
Is there a seatbelt for each one of them?
Yes. Our buses hold up to 66 children.
Are they mandated to wear seatbelts?
No, they're not.
They can't jump around if they have seatbelts on.
This is true, but the National Safety and Highway Transportation has done testing on that, and because unfortunately, the zeal of New York State, the use of seatbelts in a compartmentalization environment is not safe for certain sized children.
Do we have disciplinary measures in place for our buses if they're,
Yes, we do.
if they, the privilege is taken away from them, or there's a suspension for the bus being ridden?
There could be, yes.
Because it's not a mandatory thing, it's a privilege to ride
It is
the
a
bus.
privilege, yes.
I guess I'm gonna echo my fellow board members is that these are young kids. These are kindergarten through 3rd graders. They honestly can't sit and ride 10 minutes to school without causing this much of our buckets. And again, if it is a privilege, then maybe they cannot ride the bus. We can't afford this. Any of these dollar amounts is alarming to me because we're already at a deficit. So
We do currently have monitors on the Mullen buses. I just want you to be aware of that.
Are we paying
Why?
$177 a day?
why?
I hope not.
Where did the monitors come from and why?
They've been there that I know, and I don't know if it's in transportation since last year.
No, they've been there for years before I got there.
Okay, I said since last year.
So, all right, let me ask you this. We do already have a bus monitor in place. Can that bus monitor
Rotate.
rotate so that it might not be every day, but there might be a presence and they never know what it's going to be?
Like that won't correct the safety issue.
I sort of remember when it was previously owned by Bob Karras that he said that eventually all the buses were going to have camera systems in them, so that we could see who the problems were coming from and we could address them.
As
Is
a
that the
past
case?
employee of Mr. Kiersitz in Rainbow Transportation Services, Inc., we did have cameras in all of our buses.
Mhm.
Some of the equipment that we had cannot sustain cold weather. We are now looking at implementing some new features into those buses. We do now have a union in place, and they're quite concerned that we're checking up on our drivers and not just the
I remember it being a specific presentation to us, like, look, we're going to have cameras in our buses,
Right.
the kids will be safe. I mean, this was one of
The
the
life
sales
expectancy-
pitches that was to us.
We bought those buses in 2003. We immediately put those cameras in.
But it's not normally something you take away and then
Well-
not replace.
Well, those technologies are no longer in process because the cameras don't work. We didn't replace them as the years went on under Mr. Kiersitz.
Was it part of the contract that the cameras would be in there, do you know?
I would have to go
thought
back
that
and
was
go
like
back.
a
It was too.
That's what I thought.
I can find
Could you
it.
check that out, please?
Because to me, if you're, especially if you're asking for an increase, I don't want less of a product and be charged more for a service that we were told we were going to get to make our children safe.
What is that?
I was under the impression the cameras were in the buses.
There are cameras in boxes still in some of them.
What is the increase in rates that is being requested?
The increase in rate is from $187 for a 3-hour block to $215, I believe,
211.
$211.
We have a handout if the permission of the board. If that's on. My name is Terry Eisenman. I'm the Director of Operations for We Care, which includes Rainbow, First Call, and We Care, a family of transportation companies owned by the Snyder Corporation. Former Transportation Director at Niagara Wheatfield. I'm aware of the special ed issues, as you were talking about earlier. We apparently the company, when they took it over, agreed to the rates that were in place under the old Rainbow. Part of this, as I understand it from the owner of the company, and his son is here today, Paul Snyder IV is with us today, is that they were trying their best as good citizens in the community to help the district so there was no interruption in the service because of the bankruptcy of the previous owner. If I could backtrack for a second about the cameras, at Niagara Wheatfield we put in DVRs in every single bus. We spent $2,000 per unit. They had about a 60% success rate. And even with the most expensive equipment we buy, the temperature swings in buses, the bouncing around, and some of the other things, the noise of the engine, some other interference. We had terrible time trying to keep up with that technology. And in fact, in the 5 or 6 years that we put cameras in the buses, we ended up pretty much having to change them all out. When I left, they were still seemed to be used less and less, but they did come in handy on many occasions. And we were able to see problems. So it is the type of technology and the type of equipment that we can invest in the future, and I believe in that technology. I was the one who pushed the camera issue at Niagara Wheatfield. But I will say that given the rates that the company inherited, again, believing that they were being good corporate citizens here, and by the way, new to the school bus business, that they inherited rates that really are not able to sustain the operation. Just the operation out here at Rainbow lost about $150,000 last year. That was in the last school year. Mr. Perry's been kind enough to meet with us. He's visited our place. We had a chance to talk about some alternatives, bounce ideas around. We do not bring this to the district lightly. We recognize the tough fiscal times that all the school districts, in particular the district that I came from, has undergone some pretty serious problems, and so we don't ask this lightly. But we would make the note, if you look at the thing that I handed out, the paper, that we are really way under the market of what school transportation. When I refer to school transportation, I'm talking about the basic service of a bus taking kids to and from school. Yes, there's all kinds of other things that go on, but that's the basic service. And I believe that the document we showed you indicates that not only are we well below market, when I looked through the contract, and there was a question about whether cameras were in the contract, and I've gone through it, the specs pretty closely. I don't recall seeing the camera issue, but I will say this. The rates that from 2002-3, which were quoted in that contract, are more than what we're getting paid now. It's 10 years ago. So I think most people would note that we're grateful for the opportunity to work with the district. We're appreciative of the stress, the financial stress, but we would respectfully ask for this modest increase so that we can sustain this relationship over the long term and improve the service and put some investment into buses and cameras and employees, by the way. So, and that was the answer to the question, why are we looking for an increase?
How long ago did we sign this contract with you?
I believe July 14th, 2011.
So if you were losing money at that time, why would the contract have been proposed at that rate?
That's what